Good morning, everyone. It's absolutely frozen outside. Now, I've got my coffee. It's the usual thing. I've got my coffee. But I've got a few things to say actually before I just go out. Jack's outside waiting for me because we were outside together and I just came back in to get the camera. So I'm just here in the porch, my little porch. This is the little porch that I built on, well, I say I built, it was myself, my friend Michael, just myself and Michael actually built it. And it's made of wood, and it has, courtesy of my own naive carpentry skills, it's got a sort of a beautifully curved ceiling on it. It wasn't meant to be like that, but that's how it turned out. As I couldn't work out how to do a flat ceiling. But you know something? I think it looks better anyway. Used lots and lots of recycled materials in this, including the windows, which don't open. They're fixed in place. And I remember how much the windows cost. They were €22.50 each. Michael bought them on the side of the road from an old boy who, for a little bit of extra money to make his living a little bit easier, collected up used windows and sold them from just outside his cottage. He had them all stacked on the side of the road. So Michael managed to get 2 matching ones. They're double glazed, because that was the only stipulation. Double glazed, of course, keeps the cold out. But it's so they were almost made for the porch. What was here before was a little concrete block structure, tiny little thing that served no real purpose at all and wasn't even tied onto the cottage. So when we took it off, it didn't take any of the stonework away with it. It just sort of came off. It was falling off anyway. The original door, this is the original door that was on there, and the original wooden surround, you know, with the little windows. So that isn't double glazed. So you can see it's a little bit with condensation this morning because of the cold outside. And this is where the young Jack was constantly jumping up in his little claws, you know, touching the wood so as he could peep out the window at whoever was coming up the drive. Of course, he doesn't do that now. He just jumps up on that chair and sits there and peeps out the window. So, without further ado, we'll go outside. Let me just put this door on the snib. Oh, there he is, waiting for us, look. He says, Mum, I could hear you talking. You were talking there without me. You're like the director, aren't you, Jack? Yeah. He says, I'm still waiting for my treat. Well, you had a treat very late last night, which means your morning treat's going to be pushed forward a little bit, Jack. So there's my container of water, because I've been down to the well. That's the well down in Keju. That's where I collect drinking water from. I say drinking, that's water that I don't turn into tea or anything. It's just pure water. That's a beautiful water there. So, look at this. The frost is on the berries. And you can see where the birds have been eating little bits of berries. See, look. The smaller birds. Oh. Now, when I came out earlier on, I threw some bird seed and sunflower seeds and all kinds of seeds down there on the driveway. My car is very frosted looking. Some of the plants look a little bit wilted. But of course, this being the west of Ireland, the frost won't last for too long. And I don't know if you can see the gibbous moon up there. Let me see if I can get a little close-up of it. There we go. There we go. And you can hear the cattle lowing in the distance. And the frost on the roof. The frost on the field next door. Just see the white of it all. Now I think I'll go over this way rather than go down the drive. Lots of beautiful leaves. So there'll be a lovely crunching sound for most of the winter now. And the sky is sort of an unearthly blue. Looks like snow in that sky. We'll walk over this way. We'll go over towards the Re-birthed Rowan tree. So those of you who have a map can follow my journey. So I'm just walking along the north bank. And pointing down towards the fairy wood now. This is beautiful, look at the colours. And these are the leaves of the hazel and the cotoneaster that continue to fall. This is a rather unearthly light. That's strange. Nothing seems to be focusing properly. I can't see the end of this pathway. Normally you can see it quite clearly. Strange. Very strange. Little rose arch. The apple trees. And the sun just very low now on the horizon. And lots of frost on this cotoneaster. And young rhubarb. It's in a very sheltered spot. So you can see just where it was trying to make another harvest. That will die back now with the frost. And the polytunnel. frozen in time. The frost on these leaves is beautiful. Like fur. And there's the Morrigan calling in the background. Mahonia, kale, raspberry stems. A chair that I haven't sat in all year. It's very still. Lots of ivy. There's a beautiful swathe of ivy. Bits of wood fallen off the ash tree. I think this is one of the ash trees now that's... I think the ash dieback, the Chilara, has finally got it. But I won't cut it down. I'll let it fall gently. The Re-birthed Rowan tree. These mammoth ferns, all this beautiful growth. And this, of course, is one of the badger sets. It was an old ash pile. You see, this is what gives me a lot of hope. Real, tangible hope, because I can see what Mother Earth has done to deal with pollution. She's covered it with a green mantle of lushness and abundance. Can you see that little pine tree that I planted in there? It's a tiny little thing. It's funny, I planted that in there, I think it was last year. Because I'd said on the video, I said I thought there was something wrong with the ash tree. This was after a storm. And of course I was right, there was something wrong. I could sense it. These are another 3 ash trees. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if they'll survive the Chilara. I expect some ash trees will survive. And then at some point, when it's all cleared, they'll come back again. There'll be new ash trees growing. But I have no doubt, despite what biologists and scientists and botanists and arborists will say about the whys and wherefores of Chilara, I have no doubt that what caused that was monoculture greed. And I'll explain briefly. All the major diseases that have affected domesticated animals, farm animals, have come from the intensive monoculture greed farming practices. If you lock up tens of thousands of pigs, you're going to get swine flu, or you'll get a disease that will come out and affect pigs everywhere. If you keep enough birds, if you keep hundreds of thousands of birds locked up for their eggs, you're going to get, what was it called? Chicken flu or bird flu or something. Can you see the pattern? Can you see the pattern emerging here? Well, that's precisely what they did with ash trees. Forestry across Europe decided that the ash tree was a good money-making thing. A money-making thing. That they could treat Mother Earth with such disdain. That they could treat her like like pimping a prostitute. That's how she's been treated. She's been pimped. And so, it may have been the EU, I don't know, I don't care at this point. But there was two countries, I think it was Denmark and Poland. I mean, I may stand corrected on the intricacies of this disgusting disaster. But they opened up tree nurseries where they grew hundreds of thousands of ash trees, tightly in rows, row upon row upon row upon row, just like the monoculture greed farming. They farmed the ash tree. And then other countries that wanted to plant plantations of ash trees bought from these big nurseries. Nursery sounds lovely, doesn't it? But it wasn't. Just despicable. So they imported Ireland, the home of the ash tree. You go back into the old Celtic legends, the ash tree was a sacred tree. A sacred tree. Ireland imported ash tree saplings, seedlings from these huge monoculture greed nurseries. And lo and behold, the disease erupted. So all across Europe now, you have diseased ash trees. And you have ash trees which were born and bred in Ireland, like this one. Diseased. Because disease spreads. Like greed, like monoculture. Where you have monoculture and greed. And this extractive mentality of pimping Mother Earth, treating her like a prostitute. You have disease. Disease follows. Mother Earth will bounce back. Of course she will. Of course she will. Like the ash heap over there. Like that monoculture ash heap. Where year upon year upon year the ash, mostly coal ash as well, from the stove was just emptied on there by previous inhabitants. But Mother Earth reclaimed it, because that's what she does. That's what mothers do. They sort out the mess and make everything all right again. An interesting little story, really, because it says a lot about what is wrong now. And again, people are trying to box all this up. They'll box it into, well, it's climate change, well, it's pollution, well, it's intensive farming practices, and they keep boxing it and separating it up. It's all of those things. It's all of those things. It's everything that we have ever done. We are known by our actions. And in this dystopian kind of world that the powermongers would have us live in, they would have us believe, they would brainwash us that we are known by our words. We're not. We are known by our actions. Actions speak louder than words. Blessings to you all on this beautiful, beautiful day. And, you know, when it comes to the mighty ash, all these massive trees on the boundary of my property here, all these massive, massive trees, another one through there, all ash trees. Yep, they will all fall. But the ash tree will come back. It'll come back. It'll come back from the earth up. And in the meantime, we plant. We plant like our lives depend upon it, because it does. And we plant trees. And we plant bushes and shrubs and flowers and grasses and bulbs and food. Whatever it is we can plant, we will plant. Remember what Bealtaine once was? It was a set of 3 small, rushy fields, each one about an acre. Blessings to you all.